In the middle of a busy city, Jasmine lived in a small, messy apartment. The old paint and flickering lights showed her struggles. At 22 years old, she worked 2 jobs to support her family, which left her little time to dream. Every morning, she followed her daily routine, but deep down, she wanted something better. Everywhere Jasmine looked, she saw a reminder of what she didn't have. Bright billboards showed the latest movies with the beautiful and successful Emily Wilson. Jasmine looked a lot like her, which was both a blessing and a burden. While people noticed her looks, her money problems made these comparisons harder to bear. Jasmine started to obsess over Emily's fancy life on social media. She scrolled through posts about expensive cars, big parties, and dream vacations. There wasn't a single movie of hers she hadn't seen. Emily's life was everything hers was not, and this made her feel envious and unhappy with her ordinary life. Her reverie was interrupted by the shrill ring of the diner's phone. Tom answered, his voice dropping to a murmur before he looked up at Jasmine. "For you," he said, handing her the receiver. Jasmine's heart raced. Who will call her here? She took the phone, her voice trembling slightly. "Hello? Is this Jasmine Thompson?" A smooth, professional voice asked. "Yes? Who's this?" "This is Claire. I work for Emily Wilson. We've noticed your striking similarity to Miss Wilson, and we're wondering if you might be interested in a unique opportunity." Jasmine's grip tightened on the phone. "What kind of opportunity?" Claire's voice softened, almost conspiratorial. "A chance to step into Emily's shoes, at least for a little while. We have an event tonight and need someone to stand in for her during a brief appearance. It pays well." Jasmine's mind spun. Could this be real, or just some twisted prank? I don't know. What exactly are you asking me to do?" "Just attend a charity event, make a few appearances, and mingle with some guests. Nothing too complicated. And the pay is $5,000. Cash." $5,000. More money than she'd seen in months combined. Jasmine swallowed hard. "Alright, where do I need to be?" Claire gave her the details and instructions, ending the call with a promise to send a car to pick her up in an hour. Jasmine hung up, her hands shaking. She quickly changed out of her uniform and into the only semi-decent dress she owned. A black number that hugged her curves and felt woefully inadequate compared to Emily's usual attire. As she waited outside the diner, a sleek black car pulled up. The driver, a tall man in a suit, stepped out and opened the door for her. "Miss Thompson?" Jasmine nodded, sliding into the back seat. The interior was plush, a stark contrast to the worn upholstery of the bus she usually rode. She tried to steady her nerves as the car navigated through the city, finally pulling up to a grand ballroom adorned with glittering chandeliers and lavish decor. "This way, please," Claire said, guiding her out of the ballroom and away from the crowd. "We can't have anyone seeing the two of you together." She nodded and followed her into what looked like an office. On the desk was a computer that watched the ballroom like a monitor. Through it, she saw how the room buzzed with activity. Waiters in tuxedos circulated with trays of champagne, and celebrities mingled effortlessly. Jasmine's breath caught in her throat as she saw Emily Wilson herself, surrounded by admirers, her doppelganger. "Wait here, I'll go get Emily," Claire told her and left. It was brief. They were back in a few minutes. The door opened and Emily glanced up and froze. Their eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Emily's expression shifted from surprise to confusion, then narrowed suspicion. Jasmine felt a chill run down her spine. "Emily, darling," Claire interjected smoothly. "This is Jasmine. She'll be standing in for you during a few key moments tonight, while you go over to the meeting with Aiden for the modeling deal. And you're sure it won't go wrong? I don't want anything destroying my life." Claire placed a reassuring hand on Emily's arm. It's just for a short while. No one will notice. Emily sighed, a hint of irritation in her voice. Fine. But do a good job, Jasmine. This isn't a game. Jasmine nodded numbly, her eyes locked on Emily. Great. Now you've got to change. Let her have your clothes and you can wear something else for the meeting. It was done very quickly and they were out in minutes. Claire appeared at Jasmine's side, guiding her through the crowd. Remember, you just need to be charming and appear in a few photos. Easy money. Jasmine nodded, her heart pounding. She watched as Emily turned back to her entourage, her demeanor flawless. Jasmine's mind raced. This was her chance, a taste of the life she'd always dreamed of. But what if she could have more? What if she could be Emily, truly be her? The thought struck her like lightning. She could pull it off. No one would suspect a thing. With a deep breath, Jasmine stepped forward, assuming Emily's spot in the circle of admirers. She smiled, mimicking Emily's practiced charm. She felt a thrill of excitement as the cameras flashed. But as the evening progressed, Jasmine's thoughts grew darker. She sat quietly, plotting, planning. This was her chance to escape her dreary existence, to live the life of luxury she had always envied. And then, the opportunity presented itself. Emily returned back from the meeting and it was time for her to take her place and for Jasmine to return to her life. You two change while I go keep the guests busy, Claire said and left. Okay, take off the dress and hand it over to me so I can. Before she could finish, Jasmine lunged forward, her hand reaching for Emily's neck. Panic flashed in Emily's eyes as she struggled, but Jasmine's desperation gave her strength. She pressed harder, feeling Emily's resistance weaken. The world blurred around them, the sounds of the party fading into a distant hum. Jasmine's breathing grew ragged, and her vision narrowing to the struggling figure beneath her hands. Finally, Emily's body went limp, and Jasmine released her, gasping for air. She stood there for a moment, staring at Emily's unconscious form. The reality of what she had done hit her like a ton of bricks, but it was too late to turn back now. She had crossed the line. With shaking hands, Jasmine picked up Emily's clutch and rummaged through it, finding a small bag of tranquilizers. She administered one to Emily, ensuring she wouldn't wake up anytime soon. Then, taking a deep breath, she dragged Emily's body into a nearby storage closet and locked the door. Returning to the party, Jasmine smoothed her hair and straightened her dress. She could do this. She had to. The life she had always wanted was within her grasp. All she needed to do was embrace it. As she rejoined the crowd, Claire approached her, asking after Jasmine. She lied, saying she would wait till the party was over so no one could see her when she leaves. Claire nodded, and they returned to the party. With Emily's unconscious body hidden, Jasmine fully embodied her doppelganger. She mingled, laughed, and posed for photos. As the night wore on, Jasmine's confidence grew. She was Emily Wilson. Claire approached, handing Jasmine a car key. Your driver is waiting. You have an early meeting tomorrow. Jasmine smiled, taking the key. Thanks, Claire, but you can ask the driver to go. I'll drive myself today. It wasn't a strange request as she was fond of doing this, so Claire didn't argue. Just be careful. In the parking garage, Jasmine loaded Emily's limp body into the trunk. She drove to a secluded area far from prying eyes. Jasmine pulled Emily out, dumping her in a remote cabin. You'll stay here, Jasmine hissed, binding Emily's wrists and ankles. Emily stared, grudgingly opening her eyes. Jasmine's smile was cold. Don't worry, I'll take care of your life. Jasmine's transformation was swift. She donned Emily's wardrobe, stepped into her glamorous shoes and reveled in the opulence of the star's mansion. Plush carpets, sparkling chandeliers and a closet overflowing with designer clothes became the backdrop to her newfound life. She thrived in Emily's world, indulging in extravagant shopping sprees, rubbing shoulders with celebrities, and sipping champagne aboard private jets. Jasmine lost herself in the intoxicating freedom, forgetting her past with each party she threw and each headline she generated. Jasmine's confidence grew. She became adept at imitating Emily, fooling even the closest confidant of the starlet. Invitations poured in, and the glittering lifestyle became a routine. She attended red carpet events, posing for photos, the camera's flash illuminating the facade she built around herself. Desperate to maintain her grip on Emily's persona, Jasmine began exploiting the actress's influence. Promotional posts for dubious products and scandalous affairs became the new normal, each action twisting the narrative of Emily's once immaculate reputation. But Jasmine's reign began to crumble. Rachel, a tabloid journalist with a nose for scandal, started to connect the dots. She noticed discrepancies in Emily's public appearances, the sudden change in demeanor. Something was amiss. Rachel's instincts urged her forward, and she began digging deeper, hunting for the truth. "Emily, you don't seem like yourself lately. Is everything okay?" she had asked during one of the galas they'd met. Jasmine's heart skipped a beat. Of course, why wouldn't it be? Rachel's gaze intensified. "You've been acting different, more reckless, more impulsive. It's like you're not the same person." Jasmine's palm grew sweaty. "People change, Rachel. Maybe I'm just enjoying life more." Before Rachel could respond, another guest approached, interrupting their conversation. Jasmine seized the opportunity to escape, her mind reeling with anxiety. She needed to get out of there, but she couldn't afford to draw attention. Later that night, as the gala wound down, Jasmine returned to the mansion. She locked the doors behind her, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. She poured herself a glass of wine, taking large gulps to steady her nerves. Her phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "We need to talk. Tomorrow morning at your place." Jasmine's breath caught in her throat. She couldn't let Rachel uncover the truth. Frustration and desperation clouded her judgment. She paced to the room, her mind racing with possibilities. She couldn't afford to wait. Early the next morning, Jasmine heard a knock on the door. She stood, frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. Taking a deep breath, she opened the door to find Rachel standing there, her expression unreadable. "Come in," Jasmine said, stepping aside. Rachel entered, her eyes scanning the luxurious surroundings. "Emily, there's something we need to discuss." Jasmine nodded, feigning calmness. "Of course. What is it?" Rachel hesitated, then spoke carefully. "I've been investigating some inconsistencies in your behavior. You've changed so much, and I can't shake the feeling that something isn't right." Jasmine's mind raced, searching for a plausible explanation. "Rachel, I promise everything is fine. I've just been going through some personal struggles." Rachel's eyes softened slightly. "If that's true, you don't have to hide it. We can help you." But Jasmine knew she couldn't risk it. She had come too far. "Thank you, Rachel," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I think it's best if we keep this between us." Rachel studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, but if you ever need to talk, you can." "I will," Jasmine promised, her heart aching with guilt. As Rachel turned to leave, Jasmine's resolve hardened. She couldn't let Rachel live alive. In a split second, she lunged forward, grabbing a nearby vase and swinging it with all her might. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the room as Rachel crumpled to the ground, her eyes wide with shock. She wasn't breathing. Jasmine stood over her, breathing heavily, the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She dragged Rachel's lifeless body to the basement, her hands trembling with the weight of what she had done. The aftermath of the shocking event created a lot of chaos. The police quickly began a high-profile investigation into Rachel's disappearance, with Detective James taking charge. The only clue he had was the fact that Emily had been the last person she'd contacted. He was methodical and sharp, and he worked hard to piece together the puzzle surrounding Jasmine's bold lies. New clues appeared unexpectedly, like fleeting shadows, revealing Jasmine's overconfidence and hints of Emily's troubling absence. In her frantic attempt to gain control, Jasmine made some serious mistakes. The pressure of her impulsive decisions started to suffocate the new identity she had worked so hard to create and hide from everyone. As Detective James continued his investigations, he made an important discovery. He found a hidden safe in Emily's office. When he opened it, he found a treasure trove of evidence, a collection of receipts, emails, and documents that told a much darker story than he had expected. All the evidence pointed to Jasmine's real identity and the elaborate plans she had made. Eventually, the police caught Jasmine as she tried to escape. The life she once thought was glamorous came crashing down in an instant, and the shocking news spread across the nation. Emily, on the other hand, was finally freed from her ordeal, emerging from her captivity. Although she was battered and damaged, she was also resilient, determined to rebuild her life. As the trial started, Jasmine faced serious charges that would haunt her for the rest of her life: kidnapping, murder, and identity theft. Each witness who testified and every piece of evidence presented painted a clear picture of a reckless doppelganger who tried to take control of someone else's life, playing God without understanding the consequences. In the turmoil and chaos that Jasmine caused, a cautionary tale emerged. It served as a powerful reminder that the price of envy could lead even the most desperate individuals into a dark and dangerous path, ultimately causing destruction, not just for others, but for themselves as well.